Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and welcome to our show Wine and Co. Thank you for watching and welcome to our new audience in the studio and also at home. Hi. Okay, for our topic for today, it's like a taboo things to be talked in front of other people. Although generation did not like to talk about it because they think like it's kind of shame and something, but we, the women of the new generation, wanted to educate other people out there. We should know about this topic, which is about sexual harassment. I will bring out the panelists for today. Besides me, Miss Nurin, Assistant Professor from University Malaya. Secondly, Miss L, Law Lecturer from University Kebangsaan Malaysia. Thirdly, Miss Patricia, Deputy Minister of Ministry of Women, Family and Community Development Malaysia. And lastly is me, Miss Wawa, as your host for today. So, we're going to talk about Miss Nurin. As an Assistant Professor, what is actually sexual harassment? Are there any specific definition of it?
Thank you, Ms. Wawa. So, as we start our forum with the definitions of sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is request of sexual favors, sexual advances or other sexual conduct in workplace and also in school. According to Dr. Gurdeep Garwal, the conduct unreasonably impacts on individuals' employment or academic or hostile is sexual harassment. Other than that, in law terms, social psychology researchers have proven that in workplace there are sexual harassment behaviors such as an employer might require employees to tolerate the employee's sexual advances to maintain employment or gain promotions. So I believe that the definitions that have been given in the perspective of law towards the definitions of sexual harassment proven that nowadays sexual harassment has been one of the most sensitive issues to talk about. Other than that, in my opinion, I also want to add some definitions toward the definition given, which is I believe that if a person make a joke towards sexually joking, it also falls under the definitions of sexual harassment.
Okay, Miss Nurin, I have a question. Do you think that a layman person could understand any law terms if the definition of sexual harassment emphasizes more on the law terms?
Thank you, Ms. L, for the question. So basically, I believe that general definition will give them knowledge about sexual harassment. However, it will only give them general knowledge, not the bigger perspective of sexual harassment. Compared to the definition that I've stated under the law, the definitions under law will give you a better knowledge about sexual harassment itself. So people nowadays will aware of those kind of sexual harassment, not only the general perspective of sexual harassment.
Thank you, Miss Nurin.
You're welcome. So that's the perspective towards the definitions of sexual harassment. Moving on to the types of sexual harassment. So basically, in Malaysia itself, there are two major types of sexual harassment, which are quid pro quo, which means this or that, and also hostile work environment sexual harassment. So let me first start with quid pro quo. Quid pro quo, according to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, it involves express or implied demands for sexual favors in exchange for some benefit for that person, for that particular person. For example, if an employee is made to believe that a promotion is likely if the employee goes on a date with the employee's supervisor, so it falls under the quid pro quo, means get benefit towards the things. Secondly, according to the types of hostile environment, according to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission also, it occurs when unwelcome conduct of sexual nature creates an intimidating or threatening or abusive situation towards a person. But this hostile environment not only happens, not only made by the supervisor or by the lecturer in university, it can be vice versa.
Okay, thank you, Miss Nurin, for your opinion and definitions. Okay, moving on to Miss L. Is there any laws or legislation that has been reported in Malaysia about it?
Thank you, Miss Wawa, for the question. Okay, firstly, there are a lot of cases that have been reported in our country actually. But then I would like to emphasize on the solutions on how to overcome sexual harassment in our country. And the solutions to it are firstly, judicial redress, and secondly is through legislative redress, which means to set right, to give relief or remedy to the victims that have experienced sexual harassment in any places.
Nice. So Miss L, can I ask, because you emphasize more towards the solutions, right? of sexual harassment. So how do the victims that suffer sexual harassment can make a move to file their complaint?
Okay, thank you, Ms. Nurin, for the question. Since I have stated on the solutions to overcome sexual harassment, and the first solution I have stated is judicial redress. Through judicial redress, any women employees who have experienced sexual harassment may come forward to file a complaint with the Industrial Relations Department on the grounds of constructive dismissal due to being sexually harassed at their workplace. And this action has been stated in the Section 20 of Industrial Relations Act 1967. As well as, in addition, our country have a specialized court in hearing disputes on the employer and employee relationship. Therefore, the Section 20 that I have stated earlier can be seen applicable in the case of Muhammad Nasir Rahman against Sistem Television Malaysia Berhad, which is the TV3 company. So in this case, the claimant was an executive broadcast journalist for the TV3 company, and he was accused of sexually harassing a trainee named Ong Bin Si. So the Ong Bin Si is the victim. She had alleged that he had laid his head on her lap despite of her protest and rejection. And the victim also added that the claimant made an inappropriate sound while looking at her private body parts. However, the claimant made an excuse saying that he had the habit of making such inappropriate sounds due to the gap or hole in front of his front teeth. And he also stated that he did not intend to make such inappropriate sounds with malicious intention towards the victim. However, after perusing both statements from both witnesses, the court has decided that the victim's story was more reliable by independent evidence, and the claimant's defense was just a bare denial of wrongdoing as well as a blatant lie, which is not acceptable at all. Okay. And moving on, since I have stated the second solution too, which is the legislative redress, it is to overcome cases of sexual harassment by enacting legislative redress, which means that there is a new provision that has been amended in our country on sexual offences into the Employment Act. And the new amendment of the provision has provided criminal sanctions on the wrongdoings. And it is also now commendable as it has legal force to it, and employers are legally bound to initiate an action once a complaint is being made by the employees. So in my opinion, it is good that our country has solutions to overcome this problem, as we all know that approximately 50% of women experience sexual harassment at the workplace, but then in our country an employee can file a complaint as we have these solutions. So
Miss L, does the justice system in Malaysia actually recognize sexual harassment as a crime in our country?
yes, our justice system does recognize sexual harassment as a crime. In fact, there is a recent news which was being published on the 1st of December 2019 that according to our Deputy Prime Minister Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail, a special tribunal will be set up to hear and to manage cases regarding on sexual harassment. And the bill regarding on sexual harassment that was originally scheduled to be tabled in Parliament this year will be tabled in Parliament next year instead, which is in 2020. And the topic that will be included in the Sexual Harassment Act will be discussed among the ministry, with agencies, the non-governmental organizations, NGO, as well as the Attorney General Chambers. And in my opinion, these matters are very crucial to take into account, as legal barriers should be removed so that it will provide full protection for the victims. Because it is time to lower down the complaint mechanism so that the victims can voice out their opinions and voices that they have actually experienced sexual harassment at the workplace, and give them remedies or to set right for their remedies.
So, Miss L, from the beginning to the end, you are stressing out more on Malaysia cases, right? So, I have a question. Is it only in Malaysia that the country that faces this sexual harassment problem?
Thank you, Ms. women experience sexual harassment all of the time. But then again, there is a solution to it too, just like in any other countries. And the solutions that the country has provided is the same as our country, which is firstly through a piece of legislation and secondly through the judicial legislation. And the first solution in India is by enacting a strong piece of legislation, and in their country it is named as the Sexual Harassment of Women, which mainly focuses on the Prevention, Prohibition and the Redressal Act. So this legislation provides protection to women at their workplace as well as towards the employment laws. So that is the first solution. And the second solution in India is through the Indian judicial. So the Indian judicial experience with sexual harassment started with the case of Vishaka against the state of Rajasthan. So what happened was, in this case, they were dealing with a case of a gang rape of a woman named Banwari Devi. So due to this case, the Supreme Court of India had decided to create a protective framework in providing protection for the female workforce of the country. And after this case, there were still judgments being made that they want to emphasize more and more on the need for a comprehensive laws for sexual harassment, because no law will be effective if basic human dignity of women is not being recognized or even not being respected by men. Therefore, we all know that sexual harassment actually gives a lot of impacts towards an individual, as it creates an insecure and hostile work environment, as well as lead to the discouragement of participation for the women workforce. And not only that, it will also affect their social and economic growth. So, yes.
Thank you, Miss L, for the laws and also the legislation you have given. Okay, so Miss Isha, in your opinion, where does sexual harassment frequently occur?
Okay, thank you, Ms. Wawa, for moderating our forum today. So, in our observation, actually, sexual harassment mostly happen in a workplace. Because why? We can clearly see most of sexual harassment actually happen in a workplace, because there are too many factors that actually makes this happen in workplace.
Why are you stressing out only in workplace? Is that the only place that happen?
Not really, actually. It still happen like in school, universities as well. But most of the time, the cases reported is always being happen in the workplace. That's why I'm stressing out in workplace mostly. So today I'll be discussing about more to workplace, because we have recently do some research regarding this sexual harassment that happen in workplace. So there are actually few categories that involved in this sexual harassment. So, but most of it is falls in women. Okay, so there are three actually. First, women. Second, coloured women, and also minority women group. That's something that we rarely heard about it. But according to the statistic provided, that actually based on more than 86,000 respondents that we have done research on, 58% of women experience sexual harassment at a workplace. So this means it is more than half actually sexual harassment do happen and occur in a workplace. And another research that we have done also is that women of color, sexual and gender minority experience certain kind of harassment at greater rates other compared to other women. So meaning to say that coloured women and minority women would actually experience greater sexual harassment experience rather than us, the usual women. So actually there are a lot of viewpoints regarding this issue, and regarding whether only women that is only involved. Yes.
So as you said just now, it's all about women, right? So may I ask you a question? Do you agree that sexual harassment also happens to men?
Okay, so actually yes, it happen to men as well. But the percentage of sexual harassment that happen to women is actually greater compared to men instead of women. So this is where we have provide some research. We have done some research, and the decision and the decision at the end of the day mostly goes to women who experience sexual harassment mostly.
Yeah.
So
Miss Isha meaning to say the men are usually the predator or the aggressor towards women.
Yes, most of the time, man is the predator of this sexual harassment to happen. Okay, so yes, I do agree that actually it happens to women due to the research that I've done, and actually there are few causes that causing sexual harassment to happen in the workplace. For example, but there are two main factors actually that causing this to happen, which is three actually. First is due to the male-dominated gender ratios and leadership in the workplace. Because why? As we go through like the whole big companies and organization, most of it is being led by a man, or the chief of the company is always a man. So when this happen, we see that this would actually encourage sexual harassment to happen in the workplace, because we according to a study that we have gone through, it shows that sexual harassment of women is widespread in workplace, and the rate does not decrease as days goes by. And this is actually the causes started off with the male-dominated gender ratios in a workplace. So meaning to say, when there's too much men in a working place or an organization, yeah, that's true. So when this happens, so the tendency for sexual harassment to happen is much more higher than a normal organization that prioritize the equilibrium between men and women. And then the second main causes is actually the organizational climate that communicates tolerance of sexual harassment in working place. So meaning to say that there is a climate that we sometimes are not aware of, where we tolerate sexual harassment. For example, like we think that it's okay for a sexual harassment to happen, and in fact the employer didn't do any action in order to curb this problem from occurring. So this is why actually it is important to ensure that the climate in a working place is actually secure and does not encourage this to happen. Because, for example, according to one research, environment that allow drinking, for example, during working session will actually positively associated with higher levels of gender harassment of women. Meaning to say that actually employer do plays an important role also to the co-workers to actually control the behavior of drinking behavior during the office time, office hour, because they can do that outside of their working place. So that's the number two causing factor, which is very give a big impact to the situation. And then last one is that this is the most rare thing, is that the hierarchical work environment, especially when there is a large power differential between organizational level. Because in a big company, usually this happen in a big company where we have like a few levels of organizational, and most of the time that happen, sexual harassment do happen to like for example, the employers themselves do sexually harass their workers, their co-workers, because they believe that they have the power to do so. They can do like whatever they want to do.
Like
to
domination.
Yes, they dominate the co-workers, and they think that whatever they give the instruction or anything, their co-workers have to follow whatever they ask to do. Yes, and then sometimes we tend to see like when we see that the causes is very detrimental and all, we tend to take some actions, and it is very important for us to actually take the actions in order to curb from happening again, and in order to make the working place as a safe and secure place that we usually go every day and for everyone. So it is very important to execute like immediate action after the thing happen. Automatically we have to like trigger ourselves to make sure to execute that steps in order to curb that problem. Like for example, maybe for employees, they can show their support towards the survival of sexual harassment by making policy like for example, enabling the survivors to take time off for recovery process. Meaning to say, after the things happen, they give some leave them some space, and to make sure that they are comfortable to be back in a working place in a ready condition, not at the time that they are still traumatized with the sexual harassment tragedy. And then there are also like maybe we think that the action taken only come from one side, but actually we can action taken must be like everyone must be involved. For example, like employers and other parties like co-workers also, they need to do something in order to curb this problem from occurring again. Because why? The impact itself doesn't like give only to one-sided, like to the victim only. For example, like if you are the one who are the victim of sexual harassment, only you are affected. It actually affects everyone in the working place. Like for example, you can see like according to the research recently, because they said that there are lots of impacts of sexual harassment that actually can spread through the working place at the end of the day. Because when you think that someone is sexually harassed, it can actually linger distrust among your co-workers. You started to like have the doubt in your own colleagues for because of due to that tragedy. So this is where we have to take a very in order procedures and steps in order to curb and overcome this type of problem, so that we have a better environment and climate of working in the working place. So that's what I think.
Thank you, Ms. Isha, for a very complex explanation about sexual harassment in the workplace. I strongly agree with Ms. Isha's point of view today. Okay, based on a survey by University Malaya students on 657 women, 43.7% already experienced sexual remarks, and 52% experienced offensive comments, and 21.6% get unwanted invitation to dates while they are working. You know, in my opinion, as Ms. Doreen asked Ms. Isha just now whether men also get sexual harassed or not, in my opinion, mostly men also are mistaken to like the harass they get. The woman, the harasser, think that the men should enjoy it, so they would like to do it more on them. And I think that is very wrong. That's truly wrong, because we cannot allow other people to do anything to our body without our permission. Okay. For your information, sexual harassment also happen among the school students. In school, there are two types of predator. The first one is 18% is by the school employees, such as the teacher or even the janitor. And the second type is the 70% by other students themselves. There are two common types experienced by the students. I will pick the highest one. Okay, for sexual comments and jokes, boys experience it 56% and girls experience it 76%. And the second is the touch, grab or pinch in a sexual way. Boys experience 42% and girls 57%. This was based on American Association of University Women AAUW Sexual Harassment Survey. And the causes are mostly school students. They has been a victim before, so they want other people to experience it. That's why they do it to their friends or even the juniors. And the second is they most of them experiencing adulthood. You know, when girls experience adulthood, they are getting taller, they're getting bigger, and also those adulthood experience. Some students cannot study, so they make jokes about it. You know, that's one of the things that will happen if you harass other people. It will become the effects. You know, the effect. The first effect is they will become pervasive and did not want to join any activities as they felt someone is watching them. You know, it's like if someone harass you and you're in the class and then you feel like other people watching whatever you don't want to do anything. You know, and
Insecure.
yeah, they felt insecure, and it will lead to creating a hostile or abusive educational environment, and it will lead to other thing is mental problems. You know, when you cannot do anything that you want, you will become depressed. And based on a study carried out at Suspected Child Abuse and Neglect Scan Clinic at Hospital Kuala Lumpur, 33.3% of the survivors of sexual harasser were diagnosed for depression. And when they cannot face it, sometimes, you know, when they are still kids, they do not know that is actually the wrong thing, so they tend to keep it quiet. And when they keep it quiet, they keep it to themselves, and sooner or later they will try to kill themselves. They will attempt suicide.
So did the students actually knew that the act of sexual harassment is wrong?
No, actually they do not know much because in Malaysia, I think we have a very low knowledge of sexual education, sex education. We did not teach our children or our students because we think that's a kind of shame or something, and I think that's very wrong. Okay, and if you want to know, sexual harassment also happen in university. Based on a survey by Universities United Kingdom on 549 students, 56% encountered sexual harassment, but only 8% reported it. It's a very low percentage. 49% get touched inappropriately, only 5% reported it. And 26% being sent unwanted explicit messages, but only 3% reported. That is a very low percentage of the percent of people reported it. In university, there are 3 types of operator. The first one is the student, 29%. Second one is the staff, 4.6%. And the last one is other people, 66.4%. And there are also a few types of sexual harassment faced by the university student. As an example, the verbal forms. This one you used just now. Distribution of explicit pictures, and also unwanted touching, hugging, or kissing.
Which falls under gastro, right?
Yes, that's right.
So I have a question regarding the things that you have asked talked about just now. So do you think that having a partner in university lead to getting sexually harassed by the partners?
I think that is one of the causes that will lead to sexual harassment because I was give an example. As an example, in 2018, there's a case. Miss Tan, she was constantly disturbed by Mr. Hugh, who she met in 2013 when she was in university. Mr. Liu started to harass her after they broke up because he got mad. He don't want the relationship to end. Okay.
Very dangerous.
That's very dangerous. So you have to pick your partner like a very true partner.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. The other causes of getting sexually harassed in university, peer pressure. Some students think that if you don't join the group, if you don't do what I do, so you are not my friend. You are not the man. So they think that by doing that, they are being certified as a man. So that's why they harass other students as a female students. And based on the UIA researchers, University Islam Antarabangsa or IUM, they state that there are few causes that will lead to sexual harassment. The first one is there are no clear observation from school authorities. In example, maybe university there are some dark places, so there are not much people around the place. So some students get harassed in that kind of place. Second is indecent dressing, such as wearing skimpy or transparent wear. I partially agree with this kind of statement by UIA researchers because to me, okay, of course, in university we have to follow the university dress code. That's true. But what I wear does not define what I want you to do to my body. I believe that thing. There's also case where a woman wear baju kurung, but she also get sexually harassed by other people. Only she just wear baju kurung. She does not wear any skimpy or transparent wear or something. So I don't think these are the causes of sexual harassment. Okay, the third one is exposure to sexual materials. As Miss Nurin said just now, pornography, such as picture, videos, and also books. Based on a study on 100 sexually harassed women, 28% stated that their harasser used pornography. So actually, when you watch it, you will want to do what you watch. So it's very dangerous if you let the children to watch pornography, so it will lead them to do it to other students. Okay, the fourth one is illicit drugs or alcohol. The tendency to commit a sexual misconduct because they are not in their right mind. They not remember what they want to do, what they are going to do. Okay, so it will impact the students, the victims. They will get low self-esteem. They will get bullied by the friends, and also they will have problems with substance use because they will think that using substance such as drugs and alcohol will make them forget. They will not remember what happened to them, so they will keep on using it.
So the drugs and alcohol problem do happen in university as well, like
yes, that is true. Yeah, that's right. So that is all from me. Do you guys have any question? Want to add anything?
I have an addition because you only said about the causes that happen about sexual harassment in school, right? But you never emphasize about the solution in university compared to Miss Isha just now. She gave the causes and solutions. So if I want to add, one of the solution of sexual harassment in school is that we must empower the teachers to take several steps in order to reduce the amount of sexual harassment in school. For example, give them punishment or give them a subject of sexual harassment or anything, like to educate them in order for them to not harass others and not being a victim of sexual harassment.
They can take some lessons.
Yeah, can take some lesson.
That's right. I agree with your solution. Do you have anything to add?
From Miss Nurine's point of view, it is not that easy actually to file a complaint, as the victim needs a proper and concrete evidence from the existence of sexual harassment that has occurred in workplace or even in the school place. Even in some cases, the aggressor or the ones who have sexually harassed the victim will be educated or even be dismissed from employment, but then they will still be set free just like any other person and still continue their daily lives. So,
Maybe I guess like if the victim, for example, you say that it's hard for them to report and so on. So I think that the people closest to them plays an important role in order to like find out what they really facing through at that time of at that moment, so that they can like help the victim as well in order to like cover to help to report if the victim themselves did not want to report about the things that happened to themselves.
May I add something to your point? I agree with that point. Based on this psychologist who is Port Daniel stated that if family involved with this kind of situation, they take several steps in order to prevent sexual harassment. Psychologists proved that the involvement of the family can avoid long-term emotional damage and modify inappropriate behavior towards students who harass others and also being the victims of sexual harassment.
what do you mean by that?
I mean, family as well, as Ms. Isha stated just now, the closest of friends can take several steps in order to prevent their friends to be one of the aggressors and also to prevent them to be the victim of sexual harassment.
Okay, I think that's all from us. I think we have discussed it very deep about this topic, sexual harassment. I hope the audience in the studio and also at the home will have a few knowledge for this and may prevent this from happening to your children or even to your friends or your family.
Or even to yourself.
Yes, even to yourself. See you next time, next week, same time, same place. Goodbye and Assalamualaikum.